Ahead of his upcoming fight with Jack Della, Islam Makhachev has begun an intense training camp in the mountains alongside Khabib Nurmagomedov. When asked about the matchup, Jeff Neal admitted he wasn't entirely sure how it would play out, noting that while Islam's strength is well known at lightweight, it remains to be seen how it translates at welterweight. Neal said he hopes Jack has been focusing on his takedown defense and putting in serious work in the gym, because he doesn't want to see a lightweight come up and take the 170-pound title. In the end, he leaned toward Jack Della, explaining that he wants him to keep the welterweight crown.
Who do you think wins that fight?
I don't know. We will see, because I've heard Islam strong as shit. Like, especially like when he's fighting 155, people like always talk about how strong he is for the weight class. So we'll see how that translates to 170.
Yeah.
You know, I hope Jack's been working his takedown defense and in the weight room. You know what I mean? Don't embarrass us, dog. Don't let this 155er come up and take the belt, bro.
Who do you give the edge to in that fight?
Man, that's so hard. But I'm gonna give the edge to Jack, man. He needs to keep the belt at 170.
Dustin Poirier shared that the outcome of the fight could be decided in the opening rounds. He explained that if Islam Makhachev manages to secure an early takedown, he could dictate the pace and control the matchup. However, if Jack Della keeps the fight standing, his sharp boxing skills and natural power might cause serious problems for Islam. Poirier also noted that while Islam's striking may appear unorthodox at times, it remains effective because opponents are constantly forced to respect the threat of his wrestling.
Do you think he beats Jack Della Maddalena?
I think we'll find out first, second round how much trouble he has getting him down. I think if he gets those takedowns, he's gonna get the win. If Jack can stop those takedowns, which he does have good takedown defense, I think the boxing and the size could wear on Islam and give him some problems. But his striking's, awkward and different. You have to worry so much about the takedown. You can't plant your feet and throw off those number combinations and really rip and sit on your punches, because he's going to change levels. So it changes the way you fight. Well, for me, it did. I'm speaking from experience. So we'll see how Jack approaches and how Jack executes out there. But if you're worried about takedowns, your shots are different. You're not sitting on everything and standing in front of the guy. You're trying to move and be light on your feet. I think the first 2 rounds will tell us how this fight's going to.
Islam Makhachev has been grinding through a demanding mountain camp as he readies for a showdown with Jack Della Maddalena. The high-altitude training has pushed his limits, sharpening his conditioning and forcing his body to adjust to thin air, all while building the kind of endurance and stamina he'll need for a tough 5-round battle. Islam Makhachev's training base in Dagestan is renowned for its no-nonsense approach, built around rugged conditions that forge some of the toughest fighters in the world. The facility itself is simple but effective, equipped with wrestling mats, cages, and strength areas where dedicated athletes push one another to their limits daily. Unlike flashy modern gyms, the atmosphere is raw and uncompromising, centered entirely on hard work, discipline, and relentless improvement. Islam Dulatov weighed in on the upcoming fight between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, saying that while many people view it as an easy win for Makhachev, he disagrees. He acknowledged that Makhachev is a rightful favorite, but expects the matchup to be much tougher than fans anticipate. Dulatov pointed out that while Makhachev looks big for a lightweight, he isn't unusually large at welterweight, where Maddalena could hold advantages in both size and striking. Still, he admitted that Makhachev's dominance in grappling remains a major factor that could dictate the fight.
I think a lot of people think that it's going to be an easy fight for Islam, but I don't think that it's going to be that easy. I think Islam going to win, but I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for him, like everybody thinks. Because Islam is maybe big for lightweight, but he's not big for welterweight.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I would say, like, I don't know, he don't look for me so big.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just on pictures or whatever, but actually, I think JDM has a lot more of weight than him. But at the end of the day, I think JDM has better striking, and Islam has for sure the better ground game.
Dulatov later clarified that despite the potential challenges, he still favors Islam Makhachev to get the win. He cautioned fans not to underestimate Jack Della Maddalena, stressing that he's earned his spot at the top and poses a real threat. Still, Dulatov stood by his belief that Makhachev will ultimately prevail, though he emphasized that the fight will be anything but easy.
If I said you had to choose one fighter to win that one, who would you choose?
Islam.
Really, Islam? You're just saying how he wasn't big enough.
Yeah, but I say he will win this.
Oh, you really?
I think he gonna win this for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, like I'm very sure that he's gonna win this.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be not an easy fight.
Not easy.
You know,
fight.
like because I see in the comments like a lot of people, oh JDM, it's over for you. You know, like people make this guy like very small. You know, and actually, bro, he that's a reason why he's there. You know, why he's a champ. So I think it's gonna be a tough fight, but Islam gonna win.
Charles Oliveira praised Jack Della Maddalena for his patient and calculated style, explaining that rather than rushing for a finish, he systematically dismantles opponents, as he showed against Belal Muhammad. At the same time, Oliveira pointed out that Islam Makhachev will bring his trademark strength up to welterweight and lean heavily on his world-class grappling, making the key question whether Jack can keep the fight standing or if Islam will be able to dictate the action on the ground.
O que você acha que ganha entre o Jack Della Maddalena e o Islam?
O Maddalena, ele é um jogo muito complicado, porque ele é um cara que... Ele não vem pra te nocautear rápido, ele vem pra te finalizar, ele vem te magoando, né?
Aos poucos, né?
Aos poucos. Foi o que ele fez agora na luta contra o Bilal. Só que eu acho que o Islam vai se dar muito bem nessa categoria, né, mano? Agora vai estar muito mais forte, é um jogo que, tipo, ele gosta de agarrar e botar pra baixo. Eu acho que o Jack Maddalena fazia a mesma luta que ele fez, né? Agora contra o Bilal, batendo, movimentando, saindo, machucando, é uma luta, mas se deixar o Isla agarrar e botar pra baixo é outra.
Alexander Volkanovski shared his perspective on the matchup, pointing out that Jack Della Maddalena's performance against Belal Muhammad was an ideal tune-up. He explained that Jack's success in shutting down takedowns and using those moments to build confidence has elevated his defensive skills. Volkanovski emphasized that even elite wrestlers will have a tough time not only dragging Jack to the mat, but also keeping him under control once the fight hits the ground.
Islam Makhachev is going to be fighting Jack Della Maddalena. How do you think those two match up?
I think Jack's fight against Belal was a perfect fight for leading into that. Just purely, you take a lot out of stop and takedowns, because again, every fighter's still going to have little doubts that are going to creep in. You know, I'm sure Jack was going through that, being like, all right, like, you know, worried about, you know, what if he takes me down and all that. But the fact that he was able to stop it and feel so comfortable, I guarantee you he's leveled up again. His confidence in his takedowns has just went up significantly leading into this fight. I think his confidence is going to be at a whole nother level. So through camp, like, I guarantee you if he's back in training right now, people trying to take him down are going to find it almost impossible. You know, only the top guys are going to have a chance of taking him down, and they're going to have a very hard time even holding him down.
Jorge Masvidal weighed in on the upcoming fight, acknowledging Jack Della Maddalena's crisp striking and the solid takedown defense he showed against Belal Muhammad, but ultimately siding with Islam Makhachev as a favorite. Masvidal argued that while Jack might start strong on the feet, Islam's relentless pressure and superior wrestling will likely tilt the fight his way as the rounds go on.
I've seen Islam, bro. He's a big guy. He's sucking out a lot of weight to get to 55. I think he might start doing better at 70. Problem is, though, Jack is special. We're gonna see just how special he is if he beats Islam. Jack, #1 pound for, wow, that's impressive. You know, I'm leaning towards Islam, brother.
Oh, really?
You know, but I really think it's gonna be a tough fight for him, but a great fight, man.
Jack was able to defend takedown attempts by Belal.
Belal has the best cardio in MMA, but Belal doesn't have Islam's technique. Not same technique. Not same. Very good, very aggressive. Belal never stops. A dog. Attack. But Islam is like smart, man. Boom. You know, Islam's level of wrestling is above. His stand-up game is improving. I don't think he could go stand-up in the beginning with Jack. Jack has way better hands, way better range, faster, stronger. But as the rounds go on later and later, he could do.
Aljamain Sterling offered a different perspective, predicting that Jack Della Maddalena could control the pace of the welterweight title fight, using his size and knockout power to limit much of Islam Makhachev's wrestling effectiveness. Sterling suggested that a Jack victory would also cool the buzz surrounding a potential Islam versus Ilya matchup, and he emphasized that regardless of the outcome, Islam faces one of the toughest challenges of his career.
You picked JDM to win. Now he's got a big challenge in his first title defense against Islam. Do you think he's got what it takes to beat an Islam Makhachev in his first defense?
People are going to say it's a wild take, but I reckon JDM smokes Islam. Shins him so bad. It's going to be so bad that the Topuria Islam thing will just be gone.
Do you think Islam's wrestling won't be a threat to JDM just because he's a lot bigger?
He's a lot bigger, and like when you watch JDM, like you put him on the end of mid-range, he's just going to throw. It's hard to like shoot in on. He's not going to be able to just abuse his size against him either. I think Islam's in for a rude awakening.
Robert Whitaker discussed the uncertainty surrounding Islam Makhachev's move to welterweight, noting that a jump in weight class naturally brings new physical and strategic challenges. Despite these unknowns, he voiced confidence in Islam's ability to perform at the elite level, even comparing his chances of success in the division to the rise and accomplishments of Belal Muhammad.
But like I said, it is hard to try to get like an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like, not knowing how Islam is going to look when he moves up. Okay, it's always the question everybody asks when anybody is moving up a weight division or down a weight division. Okay, there's so many unknowns involved. But saying that, I think that Islam can do everything that Belal does, but way better. Okay, way better.
Luke Rockhold described the clash between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena as both challenging and thrilling, ranking Islam, Ilia Topuria, and Jack among the UFC's best right now. He praised Jack's exciting style and well-rounded wrestling, while highlighting Islam's grappling base built from years of experience. Rockhold also pointed out the size dynamics, with Jack being the naturally larger fighter and Islam bulking up for the jump in weight, which he believes makes the matchup even more compelling.
It's a tough fight. That's a very tough fight. It's going to be interesting. You know, I think those are my three favorite fighters in the UFC right now. We go Islam, Topuria, and JDM. He's fun to watch. So, I mean, that's going to be a great fight. You know, he's no slouch at wrestling, but you have a guy that's wrestled his whole life and grappled his whole life versus JDM, who's kind of like, he's secondary on that, but, you know, you never know. He's a bigger guy. So, you know, we'll see how Islam, how he bulks up and how he looks. He looks a lot bigger than what I remember. I used to train with him forever. So, I mean, he's definitely grown. You know, we'll see how he carries the weight.
Renato Moicano sees the matchup between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena as a very balanced contest. He acknowledged Islam's dominant grappling and size advantage he enjoyed at lightweight, but noted that stepping into welterweight changes things, since he'll now be facing naturally larger fighters. Moicano added that Islam will likely need time to fully adjust and build his body for the new division, which is why he views the fight as more evenly matched than many expect.
So Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, you know, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, you know. I think he needs to take some time to work on to gain weight, to gain power, you know, to gain strength. So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Jack Hermansson weighed in on the upcoming matchup, pointing out that anytime a fighter moves into a new weight class, there are always unanswered questions. He recognized Islam Makhachev's dominance at lightweight, even calling him one of the top pound-for-pound athletes in the sport, but admitted it's not guaranteed that the same level of control will translate at welterweight. Despite those doubts, Hermansson still gave Islam the edge while also crediting Jack Della Maddalena's impressive performance against Belal Muhammad, though he noted that Jack may still need a few more big fights before his true place in the division can be fully judged.
Yeah, it's so hard because you never know when people are changing weight classes. But in lightweight, you know, Islam looks like unbeatable. It's just like maybe the pound for pound best. It's just so insanely good. But can he do it in a weight class above? I'm not sure. Really hard to predict a fight like that. I think I still have to say Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. Yeah, we need to see a few more fights with Jack. It looked amazing against Belal, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Islam. It's just so good.
Philip Rowe confidently backed Jack Della Maddalena to come out on top, arguing that Islam Makhachev simply doesn't carry the physical size needed to dominate at welterweight. He predicted Jack's natural strength would allow him to fend off Islam's takedown attempts and eventually impose his own power. leading to a stoppage victory.
Philip Rowe, what's cracking, man? Chilling. Hey, now listen, you're welterweight. You've been in the game a long time. Islam moving up to 170. Is he big enough for 170?
My personal opinion, I don't think he is, but he's a champ. We'll see when he's there. You know what I'm saying? He has a fight. He's fighting the champ. That's the best 170 in the world right now, right? So we'll see.
So you don't think he has the size, but how do you think he does in a fight versus JDM?
I personally think JDM beats him. I think JDM will be able to get up if he does take him down. I don't think he'll be able to take JDM shots. I think personally he'll stop Islam.
Ian Gary admitted the fight is difficult to predict, acknowledging Islam Makhachev's well-rounded skill set, but stressing that the 15-pound jump in weight adds new challenges. He highlighted Jack Della Maddalena's natural size, powerful boxing, and improving takedown defense as real factors in the matchup. Though in the end, Gary leans slightly toward Islam because of his proven elite abilities.
Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. Islam is phenomenal. He's good everywhere. Size matters. When you're talking about an extra 15 pounds, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. And Volk gave him a good fight. And then Dustin Poirier, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Size is going to play a huge part. Even on the ground, I feel like Jack could get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense. But I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial artist he is.
Craig Jones said Islam Makhachev is walking into one of the toughest tests of his career, pointing to Islam's first fight with Alexander Volkanovski as proof that elite scrambling can cause him problems. He added that Jack Della Maddalena brings even more unpredictability with his slick grappling transitions and ability to break grips, which could make this matchup especially dangerous.
I think it's a super difficult fight for Islam, this one. He's like, obviously he's faced Volk twice. We'll forget about the second one, but the first one, very competitive with the grappling. And now we're talking about he's facing a guy that's some of the best scrambling ability, I think, period, in all of MMA. And some of the most unorthodox grappling. And I think that's what Belal struggled with. Belal really just sticks to a blueprint. The blueprint obviously works very well.
Craig Jones went on to highlight Jack Della Maddalena's creativity, explaining that it makes him far tougher to prepare for than someone like Belal Muhammad, who tends to stick to a strict game plan. He added that Jack's natural size could catch people off guard and predicted the fight might even turn into the kind of wild, striking heavy matchup the UFC loves to showcase.
But in terms of creativity and what Belal does, I think it's pretty strict. Jack, as you saw in that fight, some of his off balances and grip breaks and some of the things he does, it's really hard to prepare for that. So I think like Islam, the size difference is going to be quite a lot bigger than people think. And we've seen how Volk did on the ground and how much Islam struggled with him in the grappling exchanges. And having seen Jack and Volks work together, seeing the skill sets, like this is a perfect one. The UFC want guys that stand and bang. I'm trying to still help him out, even though potentially.
Gilbert Burns said he believes welterweight is a more natural division for Islam Makhachev, especially since cutting down to 155 has become increasingly difficult for him. While Burns praised Islam's complete skill set, he also cautioned that Jack Della Maddalena's preparation alongside elite fighters like Alexander Volkanovski and Craig Jones can make the matchup far closer and more dangerous than many expect.
Islam's working very hard. He's been saying vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he will not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. Yeah, I like him moving up. I proven himself. He's number one pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of back the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're going to have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much in that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think, and JDM has a clear shot on beating.
Sean Ollie described the fight between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena as a major matchup, though he admitted it doesn't carry quite the same hype as a potential showdown with Ilia Topuria. He praised Islam's victory over Belal Muhammad for adding intrigue to the clash and noted that if Jack can block takedowns and land clean strikes, the fight could quickly turn into a highly competitive battle.
Islam relinquish his belt and go up to 170. Got JDM taking on Islam Makhachev.
I still think Islam's skill for skill is just so high level. For him to go out there and do what he did against Belal was very impressive, made that Islam fight more interesting. If JDM can shut him down and throw those hands, but Islam's boxing is underrated. That dude is slick. His kickboxing, his timing, like he's a high level black belt in every aspect of MMA.
Big belt. Who gives him that?
Jack versus Islam, I think, is huge. Not as big as Ilya versus Islam, but who knows? Maybe they both win and Islam comes back down to 55 and the fight's even bigger.
O'Malley called Islam Makhachev's jump to welterweight an exciting move, arguing that the size gap between him and Jack Della Maddalena won't be as dramatic as some expect. He also suggested that Islam's versatile skill set could make his striking a bigger factor in the fight than many anticipate.
How do you think Islam does at welterweight?
Who knows? I heard he's not going to be any smaller than Jack come fight night. 55 to 70, that's a little bit different than 35 to 45, 45 to 55. But when your skill level's that high, as Islam's is, it'll be interesting if he goes in there and tries to shoot on Jack. Jack stuffs him and gets in his face. But Islam's striking is so underrated. Islam could put the hands on Jack too.
That's it for today's video. But now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Do you think Islam's skills will carry him at welterweight? Or does Jack have the tools to shock everyone? Drop your predictions in the comments below.